What was the last Passover meal like for the disciples and Jesus? We're going to answer that question on Answers for Living. I'm Pastor Dave, and I pastor Avondale Presbyterian Church. The last Passover meal with Jesus was certainly different than all the other Passover meals that the disciples and Jesus partook of. Passover meals were joyous occasions. Plenty of joyful memories of past Passover meals. The enjoyment of special meals being prepared by the women of the family. Lots of laughing by the relatives at the jokes that were told by Uncle Bill. And then the big question. It would be asked by the youngest child in the room. Why is this night different from all other nights? And then the father would recite the blessing that is part of the Passover meal. Baruch atah Adonai. Blessed are you, Lord. But for the disciples, this Passover was different. As they entered the Passover room, the disciples knew that Jesus had been telling them that he was going to be crucified. And they didn't understand this, but there was confusion and there was tension in the room. And as the meal went on, he tells them that one of them is going to betray him. And he's going to be turned over to the authorities for crucifixion. And then as the elements of the Passover meal are shared, Jesus gives two elements new meaning. He picks up the bread and says this represents his body that would be given for them. And then he picks up the wine and he says this is the new promise between God and man, and it would be sealed by his blood. And then Jesus gives them a new commandment. And he says, they're to love one another as I have loved you. Throughout the evening, he repeats this 3 times. Love one another, love one another, love one another. I'm inviting you to join me next week as we unpack this command, because it isn't just a command to the disciples in that room. It is a command to all of us as disciples of Christ. And how can we love as Jesus loved his disciples?